What's up, everybody? Coach Potatoes back at it again. Bill,
With the white
Ben,
bets.
TJ.
Every time you fucking point down reminds me of the finger bang thing.
Okay, well, Ben thinks of finger banging every time we start the show, apparently. All right, today we got for you
That was
the
odd.
Just a shocker.
new pass interference rule. Okay,
Wow.
That's what it was.
taking that away. Pass interference rule
Shocker.
is going to be new in this upcoming season in the NFL, thanks to Saints fault.
Bill's
One
Rams.
Nah.
It basically comes down to Bill. Thanks to Bill's Rams sucking asses.
We're going to talk about McGregor retiring. Then we're talking about our NCAA brackets and how mine sucked ass. And then we're going to do another top 5 for you guys that we thought of this morning. Our top 5 players currently playing
Any sport.
any sport. Yes. I didn't think we had to
Disrespect.
specify that, but yes.
This is our top
You
5.
are correct.
Some of us have more players than in 2 sports. So.
Bill's got 3 sports.
Fair point. I confirm that.
Yeah, 'cause I know.
All right.
I know Bill's less.
Episode 31, here we go. We're going to start off with the good old PI rule, pass interference, which I don't know where that came from. I thought the season was pretty clean. I don't disagree with it, whatever. It's just another thing to challenge. The what's going to suck, and the only negative is those last 2 minutes. Anything and everything that looks questionable, I think they're going to review.
Well, I think we were already heading down that road, regardless of this rule change. I think that the absolutely egregious no call against the Rams in that NFC Championship
I remember
game
that.
kind of set us up for this exact thing. I don't know. I think we talked about it, when that game happened, that, or at least I did, I cautioned heavily against going down this road where you start giving the coaches the power to start, challenging either call or no call against, the officials. Because, it's part of the game as much as you don't want to see it happen, where it decides the outcome of a game, much like we saw. I don't know. I don't like the flow. I don't like what it does. So, yeah, it's any time is fair game unless the last 2 minutes of each half, if I read it correctly. Is that right?
And just with any coach's challenge.
Yeah, the last 2 were just from the booth,
It's
like
all
everything
booth.
else is now. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Which is why, again, I think if that's a reviewable play, it's going to get triggered every time it's a close call.
Yeah.
But again, it's the last 2 minutes. I don't see it adding too much, is what I'll say.
I think the biggest thing is going to be we'll have to see how it goes in the 2 minutes, because I think
Bill's Outlook account settings are out of date, in case you guys were wondering.
Yep. I'm going to use Outlook. Get out of here.
what do you use?
Gmail.
Yeah, nobody uses fucking Outlook. Sorry, Microsoft.
Full people
So back to what I was
who
saying.
we do at work.
Was it'll be interesting to see how I guess strict they are during that 2 minute period, because I feel like pass interference is one of those kind of like holding where you could almost call it on every play at some point if you're like watching it strict enough. So if it's literally like the coach would say, "Oh, that was pretty close," they're just gonna look at every single time they pass it, then it's gonna get a little ridiculous. It's gonna have to be like pretty blatant. I mean, it's basically for no calls, right? I guess you can review called ones also.
It's for either or.
But it's going to be almost impossible. I feel like it would be almost impossible to overturn called pass interference. You have to have conclusive evidence that he didn't do it, which is basically going to be never.
Yeah,
so
he could just touch him, and that could be impeding the arm, and boom.
Yeah. So I feel like it's mainly going to be for no calls, because the chances of finding conclusive evidence that he did not commit pass interference, I'll be shocked when we see that.
Well, and to your point, it's also very subjective, because there's a reason why sometimes they say, "Oh, they're letting them play." It's kind of implied that both of them are really committing pass interference, but the ref's just going, "Well, if you're both doing it, go ahead."
No one's going like above and beyond.
Exactly.
They're both doing the same kind of level.
Exactly. But the thing is, there's that saying, because sometimes they do call it a lot, and then sometimes they don't. So unfortunately, it's not black and white. It is very gray.
So why put in? That's why I'm confused. Is like, why put in this? And if I read it right too, I think this is a year trial.
Yes.
So they're trying it for this
1
season,
year.
and then we're gonna see how it goes.
Which I think is good.
Dude, I don't disagree with that approach. It just seems it's just weird because the rule is so subjective. Like, yes, there's kind of some guidelines that you sort of follow. You know, like hitting the guy clear as day before the ball even gets there is a clear pass interference. But some of like the hand fighting that goes on while they're running the route and stuff like that, while by definition would be pass interference, but it kind of falls into that. Well, we're gonna let them play, especially when you're talking about like late game playoff football. It's kind of like as long as you don't fucking like, suplex the guy, pretty much go ahead. We're gonna let you guys.
By the time we get to the playoffs, I hope that those finicky things are resolved during this 16 games prior to that.
Well, I would hope so too, but look what happened last playoffs.
I have a feeling that I think the refs are going to be briefed on. It's going to need to be like pretty clear cut one way or the other for you to overturn what happened on the field. Like I hope it's not like they didn't call it on the field. You throw the flag and then like you like barely pushed like grabbed his arm and then we're throwing the flag then.
Right.
I mean the only other thing is too is that it's still like. It's not like you can do it every single time you throw the ball. It's still like the 2, and if you get them both right, you get a third. So it's a max of like, 3 times a game for each team. I do think, though, is that it's sort of shifted because they changed like the catch rule to be a lot more subjective this past year,
right.
Which was a good move because it was just like, if it looks like he made a catch, then we're going to call it a catch.
Really, if you should bring a 5-year-old and you go, hey, did he catch the ball? Yeah. Oh, there you go. You got it.
Yeah. So
it shouldn't be all this in 2 feet.
I'm hoping that this
pass.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this pass interference thing takes kind of that same shape of. It needs to be blatant, and if we think just watching it not in super slow motion, does local did he? If he has 2 hands on him, he's pulling his jersey. They're going to call it. But
right.
I'm
not as convinced after last season.
Well, he didn't have 2 hands on him. He just lit him up.
And I think I mentioned this before, but when I saw it live, I first didn't notice the pass interference. What I noticed was the blatant helmet.
Right.
Which is why I think it's worse. Sure they did a PI change, but I thought it was more of a helmet to helmet, if anything.
Well, true.
An helmet targeting PI, you pick one. They picked none.
I think pass interference was the smart one, though, because the only way to remedy that is you have to make one of the penalties reviewable. And I feel like helmet to helmet, while we say holding happens every play, helmet to helmet happens every play. Like, literally, the helmets are just touching repeatedly. And it's mainly just
that
like
one,
leading with the
is
helmet.
subjective sometimes, also.
Yeah, so, because a lot of times you get hit in the shoulder and they think it was the helmet and just...
Oh, shocker, you thought of the Tom Brady one.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have guessed.
Well, we're not talking about the playoffs, so...
Playoffs!
But yeah, I like it. We'll have to see how it's called. I'm hoping it's like the catch and it's just kind of a... We're not going to watch this at fucking... 0.1 speed. We're going to watch this in real time and just get a second look at it, essentially. And I think it's the only question I had when this happened was, and this is not a shot at Bills Rams, but kind of a shot at Bills Rams, which was if the Super Bowl was just more entertaining than fucking watching toilet paper slowly just fall off the roll, would they have changed this rule? Because I think a lot of it was
as much as they were bitching.
While the Saints fans were bitching and the players were bitching, there's a lot of complaining. If it went on to where the Rams and the Patriots had a watchable Super Bowl, a competitive Super Bowl where the Rams scored more than 3 points, I feel like because a lot of the conversation after the Super Bowl was, well, it should have been the Saints who would have got a much more enjoyable game. And you know what I mean? Like, that was a lot of the conversation afterwards. And I know Bill shrugged his shoulders, but that's what the conversation was.
I will stick to the facts that Drew Brees was on the decline, and he was not getting out of it, including that game. Hence why the last... and the PI. Continue.
Well, I'm just saying in general, even watching the Super Bowl, has it played out? You don't think if the Saints were there instead of your Rams, the game would have been closer?
Would have been different. I can't tell you what would have or would have not happened. It would have been different. That's what I will. I will not say it would have been as low scoring and as a slog as, of course, all you guys are saying. But I can't. So, for all you know, the Patriots could have blown them out. So the point of it is we don't know.
Well, I agree with you that I think they would have changed the rule anyways. I just wonder how swift the rule change, because the NFL has been very reluctant to just instantly change rules the next season. How long did we have to deal with just the shitty catch rules before we just wisened up on those?
Well, that was prior, that rule change and stuff, and kind of that one all started. I think Dez was the first one that kind of had the first, or it might have been Calvin Johnson.
And then Dez.
But that was pre Twitter mob days, whereas now you've got
I think Dez was Twitter.
A little bit,
maybe
but,
not.
but right now, like in today's climate,
There's a lot more.
if you get the Twitter mobs going, any organization is willing to take a second look
yeah.
at their rules or regulations.
Well, so yeah, I think they probably still would have changed it. I just wondered if it would have been as quick as the point of, if the Super Bowl would have been like if it would have been like a Super Bowl, like a really exciting one, and people would have been like, well, the Rams gave a good fight, like. But I feel like the talk after wasn't really that the Patriots won. It was more of, well, it should have been Patriots Saints, and the dialogue was more what could have been.
Right, but I think in the same light, if the Rams came out and just took a big fat dump on the Patriots, I think it would have happened even quicker. Could have been like, well, the Rams shouldn't even fucking been there.
Yeah, it's tough. Again, this is all hypothetical. We don't know what would have happened.
True. It's just weird. This is the whole thing. I mean,
definitely one we'll have to see how it plays out. If it gets like the where we're just in the weeds, like looking at every finite detail, like.
Well, going back to the purely the pass interference and trying to cover all your bases, pretty much get the game right. The one scenario that they're not thinking of, and I'm only thinking of it because McVay is notorious for wasting all of his timeouts pretty quickly.
He's terrible at it.
Yeah, he's pretty bad. He's
terrible.
He is very bad at managing his time.
Oh, yeah, because he doesn't want to
And
put
that
Goff in a
goes-
third and 15.
Well, that's the thing, because he gives him, the calls. I mean, okay, let me see what I'm going to say. We don't have to talk about how much I dislike Goff. And no, he's not in the list, if that's one of the ones you're thinking.
God, no.
It didn't even cross my mind to put him on your list.
Yeah.
You're smart.
He shouldn't be on anybody's list.
You know me better. But the scenario I'm thinking of is, what if a team blows all 3 of their timeouts, so they have no challenges, and something like that in the playoffs happens before the 2 minutes.
Don't waste your timeouts.
I understand that. But the uproar still would have been there, because it wasn't that the conversation was never the team could have challenged it or should have challenged it. It was the refs should have called it.
True, but I feel like there's this now caveat well, you had the ability to challenge, but you took that away from yourself.
I think if your goal is to try to get the game right and to fine tune all those wrinkles, iron them out, that is a big hole. And if something like that happens again, I guarantee you it's going to be another slippery slope where, okay, now pass interference, a call that is so impactful to the game, you don't even need a timeout. The booth can review any of them if it's egregious. But again, that is very subjective, which is why this is very tough.
The only thing I'd have against that is, one, then you'd have this whole, like, well, how come they reviewed, 9 of the Titans' pass plays and then they only reviewed 2 of the Rams' pass plays? Like, as in the league would do it, and then you'd have
that could still happen in the 2 minutes. They could go, why did this team get 3 reviewed and we didn't get any? When that one could have been called, that one could have been called. Because now, again,
true, but in the
subjective.
final 2 minutes, there probably is going to be a good amount of reviews the first couple weeks, and it's just but majority of the time,
that's when you pass
in the final 2 minutes, we have the ball and we're losing, or we have the ball and we're winning, right? So let's say the Titans have the ball and they're winning. We're not throwing the ball, really. We're trying to run the clock out. If we have the ball and we're losing, and you get the ball, then we're obviously going to have more pass reviews, because unless we score, you're just going to run out the clock after that. So I think they're going to be saved. I don't think it's going to be like this, like each team had 8 pass plays in the final 2 minutes and they reviewed so many of these and some of the others. And I think the other thing is, like, you could say that for literally every rule in the league. Well, they don't review fumbles if you run out of challenges and there's 4 minutes left in the game. They don't review if you caught it or not. It's just whatever's called on the field. And everyone seems to be fine with that now.
They do challenge it.
So, like, no, but you're saying, like,
if
you're out of timeouts and you can't challenge and it's not in the under 2 minutes,
I'm just
and
saying,
you fumble or they call a catch and you don't think you did, you're shit out of luck. You had your
I'm
chance.
just saying the rule will not cover an egregious of a play like that's not called unless a coach has timeout. In which case, this helps nothing and no one.
Well, I mean, you could say that for every challengeable play. Let's say that.
But most of them aren't that egregious.
Let's say
my point is the egregious play. It's not just a pass interference in general.
Yeah.
It's that awful call that the refs probably should have called, and now they didn't call it. The refs can't challenge it, and supposedly this rule was supposed to stop it, and it didn't.
Well, I don't know if the rule's supposed to stop it. It's supposed to give you. It gives you a chance to be somewhat in control. There was literally nothing the Saints could do through the entire game to allow them to have that call reviewed. Now they have a chance.
While this isn't hypothetical, not unless it's under 2 minutes. I guarantee you the uproar would have still been the same.
No, they just don't call
if it wasn't under 2 minutes and they had no timeouts. they still would have been pissed if the refs didn't call it. No one would have been like, well, Sean Payton didn't save his timeouts. They all would have been like, well, what the fuck, refs?
I get that, but they'd be pissed if that exact same play was a fumble and it was the same scenario. It was under 2 minutes. They didn't have any timeouts. People would still be pissed. But at least the NFL could say, well, don't fucking get the play call in late and waste all your timeouts like dumbasses. Put one in your back pocket just in case you get lit up on the sideline in the final 2 minutes.
I still think we're in the same
At the end of the day, the NFL gives them this whole, you had a chance to control your destiny. When the Saints entered the game last year, from the minute it kicked off, they had their amount of control in challenging pass interference was 0%. Going into this year, while it's not 100, it's at least maybe 25. Pocket a timeout, Sean. Pretend you only have 2. Call up to the booth. Tell the guy managing the light board to put 2 on the clock. That way you know on the scoreboard. The way you keep one in your back pocket in case you get lit up on the sideline.
If anything, I'm not even going against you because technically, at the end of the day, it benefits me. But I still think we're in the same boat, and it doesn't cover an egregious play outside of 2 minutes. Run out of timeouts.
I agree with you. People are going to be upset over everything. People get upset over the rules now.
It's true.
But at the end of the day, it's going to be at least you had a point. At some point in the game, you had a chance to be in control of that situation not happening.
Right. Well, I am worried that this could lead us down the slippery slope of, thinking in the spirit of we want to get it right. We want to make sure every call is correct. Okay, well, that's going to start expanding the base of how many
start the
plays
games Friday night.
Well, exactly. The length of the game is already a concern. I think it starts to teeter into that, like, oh boy, are we going to start looking at everything? Like one that comes to mind a lot of times that doesn't, or at least to me, it always looks like it probably could be called, but it isn't. Is grounding.
Grounding.
Holding's one. Literally every fucking play you can find a hold. Yeah. There's not a single play that is hold free.
Technically, what do they say? They all hold, but it's only when they're trying to get away and it's noticeable they're holding.
Exactly.
But technically, they all hold.
The other thing I wish they would, and this is kind of a little off topic, not off. I have to admit, I'm not a huge fan that the NFL's pass interference is a spot of the foul flag.
Would you prefer it just be a flat 15?
Yeah, and a first.
So
if it's 1st and 20 and you get pass interference, you get a first down, but you only go 15 yards.
Right.
Like you still get a first down. It's not like 2nd and 5 or something.
Maybe that's all the more reason to have this rule.
Well, that's what I'm afraid of, because now if you're late game, why not just chuck it deep and try to get a flag and then review it and then see if they call pass interference?
Late game. Why don't they do that during the whole game?
Exactly.
I don't know why they don't.
One out of every 3 pathways is a pass interference or a defense holding, so you might.
I think the Rams are starting to get some success because they're not just throwing it 5 fucking yards like Fisher. They're actually throwing downfield.
Yeah, so I just wonder if it's going to be played a little bit where it's like Mahomes is in there at the 20 with 18 seconds and no timeouts. They just chuck it deep and try to draw a flag. And then just spot the foul at the 30, kick field goal and win. Yeah, and they didn't even do it.
Actually, you know what? You just reminded me of something. I heard this on one of the shows I listened to on YouTube. Barbie just said Hail Marys. You're gonna tell me that there's never any pass interference when there's fucking everybody but the quarterback in the end zone? We're gonna need to review this for like the next 20 minutes, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, but
PI.
They'll play a little
cancel out, redo it.
Yeah, they'll put a little caveat of everyone played the ball because they're all turning around staring at the ball. So
that's true. That's true. So you could say that they were all looking up,
or they'll just be like the Dolphins and just run like 18 fucking
little laterals,
fucking laterals, and win. So
go Cal Stanford on them.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. And I think it will be interesting to see. Yeah.
It
what
definitely
type of impact it has.
It could be a very good change or a very bad one, and I don't think there's much in between. It's either going to go south quickly, or it's going to be good.
It could be like that quarterback rule that they implemented this past year, where if you pretty much touch them, it's pass interference, or you don't land on your full land with your full weight
on the.
That was like the dumbest rule.
That was the dumbest rule ever.
And it was very impactful at the beginning, but towards the end, everybody forgot about it.
Yeah.
Well, because Clay Matthews was tired of getting flagged every fucking play.
Yeah, roll that shit in. You on the Rams this year.